video, I'm going to be sharing our favourite 10 children's fiction books that are set in reality. Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Cara and I'm mum to a 2.5-year-old called Ben. He is an avid little reader and we as a family love to read too. As parents, we are really inspired by the Montessori approach, and one thing that this approach suggests is to limit your child's exposure to fantasy before the age of 6, when they can really understand the difference between fantasy and reality. Although this is something that we don't really stick to, we do make sure that Ben has a huge selection of books which are set in reality and have characters and things happening in the plots that he can really relate to. Often we find that these are actually the most powerful books and the ones that he enjoys most. I'm going to be sharing our top 10 children's books set in reality, and then I've got 2 little bonus suggestions at the end too. So let's get started. Book number 1 is the Farmer Tim stories. Now there are lots in this collection and they're all about a little boy called Tim who helps his family out on a farm. Tim goes on a whole series of farm themed adventures. In this one, for example, the snow sheep, he helps his dad rescue sheep from a really deep snowdrift after some bad weather overnight. The stories are a really lovely concept and are actually based on the author's own memories of his time growing up on a farm. This series is especially loved by my little one because he is a farm daft, and you'll see a slight theme running through many of the books that I'm going to share in this video. My second recommendation is All Together Now by Nick Butterworth, and this was actually my book when I was a little girl, so it's a very old story. The story centres around this little boy who is playing hide and seek with all of his stuffed animals. They're hiding all around his house and there are flaps so that the reader can look for these animals too. Now, I guess you could argue that this isn't truly set in reality because the animals are doing different things. However, it really suggests that this is his play, it's his game that you're following along with. And it's really powerful because this is something that Ben loves to recreate and play himself using his stuffed animals. So it's a really lovely one for role play too. So if you do pick up this book, you will definitely be having picnics with cuddly toys on your living room floor. Recommendation number 3 was actually one of Ben's Easter gifts, and it is 10 Seeds by Ruth Brown. Now the illustrations in this one are beautiful, but it is such a simple story that really captivates my little one. The little boy plants 10 seeds, and as you go through the story, something happens to one of the seeds until we're just left with one sunflower at the end, which then drops 10 new seeds. It's such a good one because Ben has such an interest at the moment in gardening, and it's such a beautiful way to learn about the process of planting a seed and watching it grow. And Ben can absolutely already tell me the whole story. My next recommendation is my first Scottish suggestion, and that is Maggie's Mittens by Koo Clayton. There are a few others in this series now, but it is such a lovely story of a little girl's adventures around Scotland. Maggie tours the country with her family and is trying to get rid of her itchy, scratchy, too hot mittens in the process. However, at the end they do get stolen by some puffins, which she's very upset about, and her granny does knit her some new ones. I find this to be a really beautiful way to explore the country through literature with Ben, and there are also so many places now that he would like to visit. For example, he's desperate to go and see the Kelpies. Recommendation number 5 is actually 2 stories by the same author. We have Emma's Lamb by Kim Lewis and also One Summer Day. Again, these were stories from my childhood, but they have beautiful illustrations and really lovely storylines. Both set in the countryside, Emma's Lamb is about a little girl who helps her father to take care of a lamb who's lost his mother, and One Summer Day is just about a beautiful summer walk in the countryside, seeing cows and tractors and fishing and paddling in the river. One Summer Day in particular is so easy for Ben to identify with because walking up and down a country road is something that we do on a regular basis. And the author does have quite a few other books, all based in reality and all about living and being in the countryside. My next recommendation is for another series, and that is the Zoe and Beans series by Chloe and Mick Inkpen. It follows the adventures of Zoe, the little girl, and Beans, her dog, and this one, Hello Oscar, is a really funny story about the little girl's garden, and lots of pets are appearing in it. She keeps hearing someone say hello Oscar from the other side of the fence and is wondering why she's being called Oscar. In the end, she finds out that it's a parrot that belongs to her neighbour Oscar, and they become friends. Just like the Farmer Tim stories, this series follows a little girl doing things that little girls do. I'm now going to mention a few books that I have talked about in previous videos, however they are so fantastic I absolutely have to mention them here too. So my next recommendation is the Hairy MacLary series. There's also a Slinky Malinky series, a Schnitzel von Crumb series, and then so many of the Hairy MacLary books themselves. They all follow the adventures of animals, but the animals are doing things that animals really do. For example, dogs chasing cats, dogs burying bones. And the characters are all so lovable and so well illustrated. I'm pretty sure that we now have the whole collection of Hairy MacLary books because they are so popular in our house. Just to give you an idea, this one, Caterwaull Caper, is about a cat stuck up a tree who's making an awful noise and attracting all the dogs who are barking at the bottom of the tree until someone comes and rescues Scarface Claw the cat. They're just such lovely stories and I cannot recommend them enough. There's just something about the next recommendation that captivates children, and that is the Handa series. So this is by Eileen Brown. There's also Handa's Hen and Handa's Noisy Night, and they follow this little girl Handa on her adventures in her village. Handa's surprise is about her going to visit her friend and taking some fruit as a gift, and on the way they're stolen by lots of different animals. Handa's Hen is probably currently Ben's favourite, and that is about Handa looking for her grandmother's hen, which is actually hiding because it's had some chicks, and it's a really lovely counting story. These are beautifully illustrated, well researched, and are beautiful, vibrant, diverse additions to your at-home library. Recommendation number 9, but my second Scottish recommendation, is the Katie Morag series. So these are definitely slightly meatier stories, there's quite a lot to them, however they are beautifully illustrated and they are wonderful adventures of things that a little girl living in a Scottish island would do. Her family live on the island's post office, so she does things like help to deliver the mail, she goes to dancing classes, she deals with getting a new little sister in her life. And although I definitely don't always agree with the parenting that goes on in these stories, they absolutely captivate Ben, and they're stories that are read again and again and again here. And then we have two stories by the very talented Julia Donaldson, The Detective Dog and The Hospital Dog. So The Hospital Dog, for example, is about Dot, who goes to visit children in the hospital, but then when she gets injured, the children come to visit her. So again, it's a dog doing dog things. And similarly, The Detective Dog, this is Nell, she helps use her nose and her sense of smell to sniff out a thief who's stolen all the children's books from their school. I think these books are so beautifully illustrated, and their rhyming, as you would expect from Julia Donaldson, is wonderful. So now for a few bonus recommendations for you. Recently we've subscribed to something called Wonderbooks, which is an initiative run by Save the Children where you receive one book for your donation every month. Now, these books are focused on the true stories of children from all over the world. I do think Ben is perhaps still on the too young side for this just now, but the concept is fantastic. So for example, this is the story of Lincoln, who finds a rare species of otter in his local area and works to protect it, or the story of Miriam, a little girl who champions for a female's right to education. I do think he's still getting a lot from hearing these stories just now. I think they're wonderful discussion points and things to have in your at-home library that you can read going forward into the future too. My second bonus suggestion and my final recommendation for this video are the stories by Oliver Jeffers, who's recently become my absolute favourite children's author. So these are not fully set in reality, but the children are doing things that children would do. So for example, in How to Catch a Star, the little boy is trying to catch a star of his very own, and in the end he finds a starfish and then stuck. The little boy's trying to get his kite that's got stuck in the tree out by throwing lots of other things into the tree. And although throwing up your front door or a whale to knock the kite out of the tree, it's not really in the parameters of reality. It is something that Ben can still relate to because it's the little boy and his kite. And my current favourite, here we are, is not technically fiction because it's Notes for Living on Planet Earth. It's a discovery of the planet that we live on, but it's so well done, it's so beautiful, and it's actually going to be now the gift that I give any of my friends who are expecting a baby because it is awesome. Now, I will try to link all the books that I've talked about today below in the description box in case you're looking to check them out too. And I would absolutely love to hear from you if you have other suggestions of books that are set in reality that your little ones love too, because I am always looking to add to our very healthy library because I'm a little bit obsessed with children's literature. Thank you so much for watching. Remember that if you've not already and enjoyed today's video, to hit the subscribe button. I do often share recommendations for products, books, toys that we absolutely love. I hope you'll join me again soon. Bye bye!